Yo, what's going on, guys? And yesterday, Goslin and Law Murray of the Athletic Yossi does the Substack for Apron Stuff, put together a live stream doing a off-season preview for the Clippers, and they talked about Malcolm Brogdon being someone that the Clippers are interested in. He played this season with the Wizards. I will say personally, I find it a bit interesting just because I do know from two separate teams that had Brogdon, they called Malcolm Brogdon a locker room lawyer. I know one team absolutely hated him, said that like he turned the players against the coaches, and like he believes in like if you're not 100% to not play. This is what I was told, so take it like obviously the team didn't like him that was telling me this, so that's, and then another team said like he's solid, but like there's a reason why he's been bounced around, like, and I understand that. I think when you put it like that, I think definitely he's not for a young team, probably a team more for a veteran team like the Clippers would benefit from having Malcolm Brogdon come in. So before we talk about it, let's hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Would you want Malcolm Brogdon to be brought in? Is that someone you think would help the team or no? I think in the right role, and if everybody gets along, yeah, I think there is a reality that the Clippers could get him on like a minimum deal. So the report is Murray suggested Malcolm Brogdon could be their primary target for the Clippers. Quote, I would consider Brogdon a primary target for the Clippers. They almost traded for him previously. I think if Brogdon would have been a buyout guy, I think the Clippers would have considered him along with Ben Simmons. End quote, Murray said on Yossi Goslin's YouTube channel, Substack. And I agree. This past season, Brogdon played 24 games with the Wizards. Another thing is health, but he's a guy who played the 1-2 and small ball 3 if he needs to. He's a 6'5", former Rookie of the Year, pretty solid, like, floor general. He averaged just under 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists while shooting 43% from the field and 28% from the arc. And he'll be an unrestricted free agent. I doubt he stays in Washington. And he had spent 1 year with the Portland Trailblazers, and that was actually a better year, in my opinion, than the year he had with the Wizards, as he was a guy that with the Wizards, you thought he would have been potentially more available. He played 39 games the year before, averaging 16, 4, and 5.5 assists. So, and the year before that, it was 67 games with Boston. So it's not like he's the poster boy for health. Like, he's obviously had his own struggles with health, and that's something that he's probably doing on his own, right? And I wonder if that's going to be something that they need to consider, because I get like for a third string guard, that's fine. I'm cool with it. And to me, I think that's like, he's an injury prone guard that as a reserve option, cool. So let's just break it down. I think the biggest thing with this team, and if you look at it, does it make sense for the Clippers to go after Malcolm Brogdon? Yeah, because I think they've realized quantity over one quality player might be actually better in this sense, as this team defensively is sound, but they need more passing. They sucked as a passing unit, and they weren't great at three-point shooting. So for a team that was in the bottom half of the league in assists per game, 25, and they were in the bottom 10 for turnovers as a unit, having Malcolm Brogdon, regardless of health, be just an extra ball handler, playmaker, is something that could help this team in ways that I think would be way more evident in I think in theory, not theory, but you would have to see it, because the way I want to phrase this is the way they would utilize Malcolm Brogdon, I think, is exactly how the Celtics used him. So imagine the Celtics version of Malcolm Brogdon being used by the Clippers in that same fashion. Maybe not as many minutes, but you would assume a team that was one of the worst three-point shooting teams and was obviously in need of just more guards. Like, no offense to Chris Dunn, I love Chris Dunn, all defense type guy from the guard position. Brogdon would be able to give you like a yin yang there, more offensive, not really a defensive guy. And not that he's terrible, but with age, and it was never what he was known for. I would assume that that's going to be a guy you go ahead and kind of on a game where you need some more offense, you play Brogdon. When you need more defense, you play Dunn. To me, I like that. And the year before, he had a decent year shooting. So, like, I think you would hope right there that's the kind of guy that in limited minutes would stay healthy and be able to just space the floor and create for others. While a team that was top 10 and defense, top 3 in opponents per game, Brogdon at this point doesn't need to be someone who shores up rotations. He just doesn't have to be a liability. And he's played in several playoff games. So I think he's another guy that after their early exit, he would benefit from being an extra ball handler. Because imagine if James could play off ball instead of being the ball handler, it would probably be a little bit different than what it ended up being this year, instead of them just pounding James. And same thing with Kawhi, as LA's excess in top scoring talent between Kawhi, Norman Powell, and James. And there's never a problem with that, but the problem becomes when you don't have enough ball handling. It lacks the reliability of having another playmaker, and even shooting, that when their stars do get targeted, having someone who is like Brogdon, that strategically it makes sense, the veteran savviness, the two-way impact that he could have for the roster, I think is beyond evident. And his ability to fill multiple roles, as I've said, the 1, 2, and even small ball 3 aligns with how Ty Lue plays and how the Clippers play. And it makes a ton of sense to me, because the Clippers' priority is adding shooting depth, probably a little bit more size along this team, because they rolled out a top 10 defense, top 5 defense arguably, and a bottom offense this past season. So like, I'm definitely curious to hear your guys' opinions on what do you guys think is going to end up happening at the free agents period with this team, because they also have some veterans. So I think a little bit of reloading, some scoring off the bench would be helpful, as this is a team that really relied, I think, too heavily on James Harden's playmaking. And there were a lot of nights where I like Chris Dunn, and Kevin Porter, it was funny how he worked out for Milwaukee. What he did for Milwaukee was what the Clippers was hoping he was going to do for them. So I think try to take another swing at a guy like Kevin Porter and hope that you can find that. But with a team like the Clippers, who needed to work on their 3-point, just floor spacing efficiency, having a guy like Malcolm Brogdon be one of your options would be huge. And he's a career 36% 3-point shooter. He can force teams to go into drop if they have, or not force drop, cause teams to not go on drop, because with James and Kawhi, teams are just going to drop and assume that they're going to go midi or drive. They're going to have to play a little bit more up against the perimeter and respect them. And this will allow for Kawhi to get into the mid-range or Harden 0-step. So the Clippers obviously were one of the best teams at allowing or not allowing their opponents to score, but themselves struggle to score the basketball. And I think that's the huge appeal with Brogden, in my opinion. So let me hear your guys' thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. And if you made it to the end, go check out my other work. Probably will enjoy it. By the way, link for the article that this is from should be in the description. Ciao.